Uno Minda is on our radar now. Q2 was very strong for the company. It reported its highest ever quarterly revenues and strong growth in the domestic volumes. It's growing its electric vehicle business as well. Sunil Bohra, the Group Chief Financial Officer at Uno Minda, joins us now to discuss their business outlook. Sunil, thanks a lot for joining us. You know, at the analyst call, you folks were mentioning that the domestic volumes have seen a 14% growth quarter on quarter. So demand continues to be very strong. But I'm just trying to understand this double-digit mid-teens volume growth. Is it something that is sustainable in the second half of the year as well?
Sonia, as you know, it's very difficult to say whether volumes will continue. But current momentum, I can say that it has maintained because after the festive season, we know that the marriage season has kicked in. And that has kept the demand momentum. Also, this year, the festive season also was a little bit delayed compared to last year. So if you factor that, actually, Q3 over last Q3, we are expecting significant improvement. And as far as H2 of the rest of the year goes, yes, we are pretty confident that from our perspective, we do expect the kind of growth momentum we have built in past few quarters to continue in Q3 and Q4 as well.
So when you say momentum that you've built will continue in Q3 and Q4, I don't want a number from you, but just trying to understand that this 14-15% growth in the volumes is something that you can replicate, or can you even do better than that? Because, you know, a lot of the other businesses, a lot of EV-related businesses are picking up now.
No, Sonia, we can definitely do better than what we have delivered. We are consistently building our capacities, but as you know, that our 90% of revenues is linked to the industry volumes or the OEMs. So whatever the industry volumes, we have to serve it. And our B2C segment, which is our aftermarket, is just 8 to 9%. So from that perspective, we have been consistently building our capacities. And in case there is any volume uptick or whatever industry needs, we are fully geared up to meet that demand.
All right. Hi, Sunil. Good to see you in after a while. Well, EV is the key focus, right? And there have been so many JVs. It's getting a little bit competitive as well. So I just want to focus on this aspect. Point number one, how much of R&D, how much of CapEx are you planning on putting into the EV segment for this fiscal year? And also, what kind of revenue ramp-up can we see from the EV segment for FY24 as well as FY25?
Yeah. So in terms of CapEx investment, as you know that the board has approved investing almost close to 600 crores in the EV businesses, be it the JV with Frevo or the JV with the Buller Motor for EV motors, also some of the EV business which we are doing as part of our controller division. So there has been a lot of EV specific business on top of it, as you rightly mentioned. If you look at only pure EV segment, so a lot of our businesses are actually agnostic to either IC engine or EV engine. From that perspective, we have been able to maintain or even actually improve some of the segments, our market share, when we move from IC to EV. So from the EV revenue perspective for FY24 and FY25, we do expect that this year, if you see, we have built a lot of new businesses. And if I see our total revenue build-up, obviously the question mark always is the industry volume. So based on whatever volumes our customers have guided us and based on which we are building our capacities, in FY27, FY26, we are expecting the total EV revenue segment to be almost like 2,500 to 3,000 crores, which includes both EV components, specific EV components, and also the components which are agnostic to EV.
One sec, just one clarification here. In the sales to two-wheeler EVs was about 300 crores in the first half of the year, right? So going by that run rate, you will finish at about 600 crores this year, the sales to two-wheeler EVs. So will you be able to do, you said by the end of FY26, you're planning to do over 2,500 crores, is that correct?
Yes, that's right, Sonia.
That's a huge jump up compared to 600 crores that you'll finish by the end of this year.
Yeah, because this, what you are talking 600 is only two-wheeler segment. We are also present in the some of the components in the EV three-wheeler segment and also EV four-wheeler segment. So what I am saying is overall revenue from the EV segment, it is not only EV two-wheeler, that's number one. And number two, there are also a lot of new products which are getting into production as we move forward. Like the EV motors, while the plant has been ready for commissioning, it will start production only in the last quarter of the fiscal, and then you will see the volume ramp up. There are a lot of businesses which are in the pipeline. We have secured a lot of new businesses, as we say, which will get into SOP only in line with when our customer actually launches the vehicle. So there is no point in producing today and keeping in the inventory. So the production will happen only in line with when the launches are there, and that is expected to be in FY25, and something is also in FY26. So in addition to the volume ramp up, you'll also see a lot of new product addition, which will happen in the next 12 to 18 months.
Sunil, hi, morning. Prashant here. Just two questions. One, you said many of your components are agnostic, EV, ICE. Value-wise, what is that? How much would you put it down to the agnostic bit?
Yeah, so if you see our total order book, so EV specific components, and if you refer to our last quarter presentation, EV specific components is something around 1,700 odd crores.
1,700.
And 1,300 odd crores is the engine agnostic component. So total order book from the entire EV segment is almost like 3,000 crores, which is the annual value. We never talk about the cumulative value because it all depends on the product life cycle. So this is the annual peak value we are expecting based on the volumes which our customers have guided us.
Okay. Sunil, just one more question from me. Globally, I mean, so looking at some data a few weeks ago, have things for some reason slowed down a little bit? Could be just cyclical in terms of EV penetration in many parts of the world? And if yes, I mean, what's going on?
Difficult to say only from EV. Yes, there has been some analysts commenting on the delay in some of the countries in terms of EV adoption. But even if we take a step back, there has actually been some volume impact in our exports. But because we have been able to put more products into the export region, we have been able to grow our exports. But if you see apple to apple, what we have been planning versus what it is, actually volumes are a bit softer in the developed world. But as I said, because of the new product addition, be it in the switching segment, in the seating segment, we are putting a lot of focus on our exports, and that has been able to more than offset the softness in the industry. So from that perspective, we are trying to sort of maintain our export pie also as part of the total revenue.
Here in India, for example, companies like Bajaj, etc., when we speak to them, they say that after phasing out of the FAME subsidies, sales have become stagnant. So here also, I mean, it's a longer-term trend, but at this point in time, looks like we're running into some headwinds, a little bit of slowdown.
Absolutely, Prashant. If you see the EV penetration in Q1 versus Q2, because the subsidies were sort of reduced in June. So the EV penetration in two-wheeler segment specifically, if you talk about, was roughly around 4% in Q1, which sort of softened to some 3-point-something percentage in Q2. So there has been a little bit of impact. It can also be because of a lot of pre-buying also happened because government had announced the reduction in the incentives or the subsidies. So there has been some pre-buying also which happened in Q1. So we have to see what are the numbers in Q3 and Q4 to actually conclude whether actually there is a significant softness in the demand or it's a temporary phase.
Okay. On the margins, your first half FY24 margins ended flat at about 10.9%. Given that there are plant additions, there are some new product additions, some costs are getting added as well, do you think that could put a little pressure on your margins in the second half, or will you continue to maintain it in this band of 10-11%?
So we continue to maintain the band, Sonia. So we actually have been conscious before we guided at the beginning of the year in terms of our annual margins. And whatever new plants currently are being sort of commissioned or are in the process of ramp up, the impact of that has been factored in these numbers.
Okay, so continue to maintain the margin band at 11%. Got it. I just had, since we're talking about margins, right, wanted to check on Uno Minda, which you recently got full control of. What's the target over there in terms of growth as well as margins? And secondly, Minda Kyoraku as well. Last year, we saw significant margin contraction over there. Any kind of improvement that you've seen in the first half of the year?
No, absolutely, Sonia. So if you see, Uno Minda was into losses for past few years, if you see the financials. And our first focus has been to turn around the business, do the operational improvements, do the capex what the business needs in terms of stabilization, in terms of reducing cost of production, and we are happy to say that the trend has been positive, and we are expecting to be EBITDA positive in this quarter itself, and going forward next year we are expecting to be PBT positive. As far as Minda Kyoraku goes, yes, there also we have had some businesses which has been taken at a very, very competitive prices, which has impacted the margins. So there also the financial situation has actually improved compared to last year. But if I see quarter to quarter, we are expecting Q4 to be sort of PBT neutral or PBT positive. And next year, when we move on, to be significantly better than this year. So on both the businesses fronts, there have been significant improvement in the operational and the financial parameters.
Always good speaking to you, Sunil. Thanks so much for stopping by and giving us all of those details. We look forward to having a chat with you in the coming month as well.